Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to talk about thinking of dumping old tax records. Before I get into the video, be sure to subscribe and leave a comment below saying I subscribe. We will try to personally reply to your comments. Let's get into the video. Tired of having all those old tax records taking up drawer or closet space and collecting dust? Want to dump as much as you can? People often ask how long records must be kept and the amount of time IRS has to audit a return after it is filed. How long to keep the record depends on the circumstances. In most cases, the federal statute of limitation can be used to help you determine how long to keep records. With certain exception, the statute of assessing additional tax is 3 years from the return due date or the date the return was filed, whichever is later. However, the statute of limitation for many states is 1 year longer than the federal limitation. The reason for this is that the IRS provides state taxing authorities with federal audit results. The extra time on the state statute gives states adequate time to assess tax based on any federal tax adjustments. In addition to lengthening state statutes, clouding the record-keeping issue, the federal 3-year rule has a number of exceptions. The assessment period is extended to 6 years instead of 3 years if a taxpayer omits from gross income an amount that is more than 25% of the income reported on a tax return. The IRS can assess additional tax with no time limit if a taxpayer does not file a return, files a false or fraudulent return in order to evade tax, or deliberately tries to evade tax in any other manner. The IRS gets an unlimited time to assess additional tax when a taxpayer files an unsigned return. If no exception applies to you for federal purposes, you can probably discard most of your records that are more than 3 years old, and a year or so to that if you live in a state with a longer statute. Examples: Susan filed her 2016 tax return before the due date of April 17, 2017. The 15th fell on weekend. She will be able to safely dispose of most of her records after April 17, 2020. On the other hand, Don filed his 2016 return on June 1st, 2017. He needs to keep his record at least until June 1st, 2020. In both cases, the taxpayers may opt to keep their records a year or two longer if their states have a statute of limitation longer than 3 years. Important to note, even if you discard backup records, never throw away your file copy of any tax return, including W-2s. Often, the return itself provides data that can be used in future tax return calculation or to prove amounts related to property transactions, social security benefits, etc. You should also keep certain records for longer than 3 years. These records include stock acquisition data. If you own stock in a corporation, keep the purchase records for at least 4 years after the year you sell the stock. These data will be needed in order to prove the amount of profit or loss you had on the sale. Stock and mutual fund statements, where you reinvested dividends. Many taxpayers use the dividends they receive from a stock mutual fund to buy more shares of the same stock or fund. The reinvested amounts add to basis in the property and reduce gain when it is finally sold. Keep statements at least 4 years after final sale. Tangible property, purchase and improvement records. Keep records of home, investment, rental property, or business property acquisitions, and related capital improvement for at least 4 years after the underlying property is sold. Tax return copies from prior years are also useful for the following. Verifying income. Lenders requires copies of past tax returns on loan applications. Validate identity. Taxpayers who use tax filing software product for the first time may need to provide their adjusted gross incomes from prior years tax return to verify their identities. The IRS can provide copies of prior year return. Taxpayers who have misplaced a copy of prior year's return can order a tax transcript from the IRS. This transcript summarizes the return information and includes AGI. This service is free and is available for the most current tax year once the IRS has processed the return. These transcripts are also available for the past 6 years' return. When ordering a transcript, always plan ahead, as online and phone orders typically take 5 to 10 days to fulfill. Mail orders of transcript can take 30 days, 75 days for full tax returns. There are 3 ways to order a transcript. Online using Get Transcript. Use Get Transcript Online on IRS.gov to view, print, or download a copy of any of the transcript types. Users must authenticate their identities using the secure access process. Taxpayers who are unable to register or who prefer not to use Get Transcript Online may use Get Transcript by mail to order a tax return or account transcript. By phone, the number is 1-800-908-9946. By mail, taxpayers can complete and send either Form 4506T or Form 4506T-Easy to the IRS to receive transcript by mail. Those who need an actual copy of a tax return can get one for the current tax year and for as far back as 6 years. The fee is $50 per copy. Complete Form 4506 to request a copy of a tax return and mail that form to the appropriate IRS office which is listed on the form.